Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Big Joel Show. Very excited today. I've got Matt Nuzie from the great state of Connecticut. Matt is a RE/MAX agent, a top producing RE/MAX agent. I think I'm looking at number 3 in Connecticut. Is that correct, Matt?
It was number 1.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was number 1. I thought I had I had old stuff.
Number 3, 3 years ago, but the past 2, it's been number 1.
That's what I thought.
Sorry to correct you.
No, I want to be corrected. I want to make sure I get it right. At least I didn't butcher your name.
I worked hard for that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that's a massive designation. Anyway, I got Matt Nuzie with me today. I met Matt 7 years ago, you think?
I would say so. Yeah, just about. I was trying to figure it out, but that sounds right.
Yeah, 7 years ago. Matt's got a really interesting story because he was a D1 college athlete, kicker. And that's interesting unto itself. Matt's also young. He's 34 years old. He's been selling real estate since 2007, 12 years. So do the math there. He got in right out of college, which is, again, really interesting. Not a lot of people do that. And I think he's got a lot of cool things to share today. Let me just give you the bona fides real quick. Again, Matt Nuzie, RE/MAX, state of Connecticut, number 1 in the state right now, which again is awesome. Congratulations. 2017, 60 units. 2018, 75 units. Those of you that follow my podcast and follow me know I'm all about the units, meaning even if the average sale price is big, that's great, that's cool, that's good for your pocketbook, but I'm all about the units because that's what brings us more buyers and more listings and more business in general when we work our sphere of influence. So those are big numbers. When, again, the average full-time real estate agent, I think, sells 7.2 houses a year or something like that. So, Matt, welcome to the show. Thank you for spending some time with me. Matt was supposed to be on the last episode, and his brother had a baby. I assume that went all well, right?
It went great. Baby Chase was born a few weeks ago, and I appreciate your ability to swap the times out. It was important to be there.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man. Matt
Thank
is
you.
married and has one child, right? How old is your little one?
She's about 18 months.
Okay, excellent.
Little Lila.
Excellent, exactly. So I bring that up because Matt is a very busy real estate agent, and Matt's a good dad. If you follow him on social media, you'll see that, or at least he's posting like he's a good dad. But you'll see a lot of interaction with his wife. Matt, what does your wife do for a living? She working right now?
She takes care of our precious daughter. She has her master's in exercise science, but right now she's got a very important task.
Exactly. Full-time mom, one of the hardest jobs in the world, right?
The absolute hardest.
Exactly. No question. So Matt, tell me a little bit. Let's dial it back. You went to University of Connecticut. You were a kicker on the football team, right? And walk me back. Why did you decide to get into real estate? I would personally love to see young people get in, but they're just not getting in. Why did you do it?
So after college, I moved down to Coral Springs, and I lived in a house with 5 or 6 kickers and punters. We all trained twice a day. We were, chasing the dream, and I committed to myself to give it about 6 months. Nothing really happened. I had a couple workouts, but I had to make a decision. I kind of felt that I was falling behind a little bit. Other friends that graduated college were either going to get their master's or starting a career. So decided to move back home, and an incredibly close family friend, my Little League coach from when I was 9 years old, was the broker owner of RE/MAX, and went out to breakfast with him. And we had a discussion where I could still train for kicking, and, if workouts came up, I'd be able to attend them. But as I started, it was something that I really gravitated towards, and worked incredibly hard the first few years and started to make some money and said, wow, I might be able to do this. And hung up the cleats. The cleats hung up on me. Nobody was calling anymore. And then just really dove right into real estate 110% and haven't looked back since.
But you still help kids, right? If a parent has a kid that wants to be a kicker, you still keep your toe in that water, right?
I certainly do. I run a camp during the summer for a week, and work with kids that are trying to take their game to the next level, and most recently helped a young athlete get into college and extend his career. So it's something I enjoy. It's a passion of mine. But the busier I've gotten in real estate, the less time I've had for that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you dive in, you kind of get going. Tell me, how did you get to, selling 75 houses last year, which is, again, it's just a lot of units. Give me the buildup. What did you start doing? Give me some of the tenets of being Matt Nuzie. I'll sort of couch that by saying there's clearly I always see a pattern with athletes that are at that play at the top of their game. It doesn't matter what their game is, meaning they know how to grind and get it done. So I'm assuming, that's part of it. But tell people if they're new getting in, tell these people watching that are, maybe 53 or 55 years old that are selling 10 houses a year. Just go through it. What's the Matt Nuzie secret sauce?
So from the onset, from the beginning, I committed a lot of time to it. Open houses on Saturday and Sundays. I was working on a new construction development, and I was building my database. What I learned when I was young and just started out is that, friends and family, I don't have much family in Connecticut aside from my parents, but friends and parents of friends, they weren't calling me. I was still the younger guy, the field goal kicker from UConn. I wasn't known as a real estate agent, so I had to go find other people and earn their business. So I, open houses, building a database up, and just really being relentless in following up.
So Matt,
yes.
Let's I want to break that down, okay? So you said time. So put it out there. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, were you working 6 days a week, 7 days a week? I love these when these people are like, work 2 days a week and make $3 million a year, and I just laugh. I'm like, you're such a liar. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
what does that mean by time?
It's an incredible commitment. I was in a different place in my life. I was a single guy trying to make a career and establish myself. So if there was a lead out there, if it was Mother's Day or if it was New Year's Eve, I was out there chasing it down and being respectful about it and really. And people laugh when I say this, but I don't see myself as a salesperson. I know the byproduct is, we sell something, but trusted advisor, someone that somebody can really rely on throughout the process. And the question that you had asked is, when did becoming a new agent and then really gearing it up to doing a high volume. Something happened where I stopped looking at each transaction as a transaction, and I was in it to secure the client, to have them place trust in me. And whether they bought this house or the next house or a house a year from now, it didn't matter to me. I would give them sound advice, how I personally felt about the house, if there were things that they should know. And once I made the transition of worrying about each deal versus worrying about retaining the client for life type program, I started to get a lot more referrals, and the stress level kind of reduced because I was just focused on making sure that my client was happy and that, I didn't get caught up in that one deal or that one house, and I wasn't losing sleep over those kind of things anymore.
So just to unpack that for everyone listening, what I call that, Matt, is forget about the money and get all the money. Meaning, I know that's a quick, but forget about the money and get all the money. Meaning, you don't care about the money. The money is going to come. What you care about is service, trust. Do they like you? Whether they buy a house today or whether they buy a house in 3 years, as long as they buy a house with you, you're good. And the thing about being a salesperson, I think, is so interesting. I say this all the time, and a lot of people argue with me. I say you can't sell anything to anyone. When they're ready to buy, you need to be in front of them, and they need to trust you to come to you to buy what they want. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's sort of the way I go through.
I agree 110%. I would start out, when you're early in your career, you're working with a lot of first-time home buyers. And once I made that, that mental switch and really focused on doing whatever was best for the client, I started selling not only their house, but their parents would call me. And their parents knew real estate agents that had been in the business for 15 and 20 years, but I was earning their trust and I was building out my network that way. And it really, you're spot on. The focus has to be doing right by the client, and the sales will come.
And you go into a very elite group of agents when you do that, because most of them are not thinking about that way. I mean, I do this thing with I coach a lot of agents, and I tell them, one of their biggest mistakes is, they're trained to sell the house, get their commission, and be like, later, bye, Felicia, mic drop, talk to you never, I got my check, bye, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing you could ever do. You were just in the middle of an extremely stressful transaction. Hopefully you built a relationship. Now you should enhance it, because your job isn't to sell houses. Your job is to find people who know people who need to buy or sell houses and get them to refer those people to you. If you did that all day, you'd be selling a lot of houses, right?
Absolutely. And you see it all the time, because there's a very low barrier to entry into the business, but it's a very high bar to build a sustainable business. And so you deal with all types of agents, and it's unfortunate that some clients don't research their agent. I advise everybody to, be as informed as possible, do your homework, make sure that that agent lines up with, what you're looking to do, and that they can get you there.
So let's walk through. I love walking through this because I get a lot of great feedback on this. So you get a phone call, you get a referral from someone. I already know without having to ask you. Your business is basically referral based. You get an inbound phone call. Hi, Matt. I was referred by so and so. I want to buy a house in Trumbull, or I'm saying Trumbull, everybody, because I don't know. What would you call your really area of expertise, Matt? Southern Connecticut. What would you call it?
Yeah, I would most of Fairfield County. So my primary market would be Trumbull, but that last year that only represented 33% of my business, and I was the top producing agent in that town. So I probably cover about 15 to 20 other towns around there.
But it's
and cities.
South. It's more you're going down.
It's from Trumbull towards New York City, towards Stamford.
Towards Stamford. And so you get that phone call. So tell everyone sort of what your process is when somebody calls you. Where do you start? Do you like to try to meet with people if they'll meet with you? What do you do? What's your give people a little bit of your secret sauce? What Matt Nuzie does.
Absolutely. My goal is to get a meeting in person. I'll establish the phone call. I'll answer their questions. I'll listen to their concerns. But meeting them at my office is important. I'll try and figure out where the business came from. Make sure that I keep cultivating that source, because now they're on my side and my cheerleader, for lack of a better term, and help me get that business. But once the call comes in, put them in the database. Make sure that we get a meeting and figure out what their goals are, and set up a game plan around that.
Matt, what do you, just to interrupt you real quick, you said database. You showed your age on that one, by the way. And that's like me. I say database. So like, how old are you? 90? So what CRM do you use, by the way, just so everyone knows? What do you use?
I use Exact Contact.
What's it called?
Exact. IX.
Okay, Exact Contact. Yeah. Okay, so you immediately put them in there, and tell me what you're collecting, who they are, who referred them, what stuff is Matt putting in his CRM right away?
If it's a referral from a past client or a warm lead, I'm getting as much information as I can. Just kind of look at whether they're looking to buy or sell, where do they live, when can we meet is the most important. If I'm getting a Zillow lead or an internet lead, I'll still follow up with them, but they go right into a drip campaign, because I know those, generally those people are not ready to do something, but I want to stay in touch with them. Warm leads, things like that, I take care of right away and get in touch with those.
So Matt, one of the things when I'm coaching agents all the time, and I catch them being super messy up front. They get very excited when they get that lead. I call it TWS, tail wag syndrome. They're knocking stuff off the table, and they're really sort of forgetting to go through their process. And I already know without asking you that you have a process, because you are a D1 kicker, which means you have a process, meaning to getting up to that ball. You know what I mean? And would you say that it's paramount? Like, you make sure they go in your CRM. There's no like, I'll put it in later. It's going in.
There's other things that I do, and I like to give out as much information as possible, just to put myself in the position as the expert. I send out my resume, ask them to review that. I get a lot of people looking to buy and sell in the same cycle. So I've got a really detailed email that I send out right away that says, all right, here's how you can do this. There's option 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you fall in, and which one do you want to be in? So really just having the information to give them right away, even before the first meeting. And if they go somewhere else, they go somewhere else.
Is that snail mail or email?
That's email, and I'm starting to catch up with the times. I have a BombBomb subscription. I haven't come full circle with it yet, but I'm trying it out.
It's kind of cool. So when you say resume, that was interesting. I caught that, and I started to write that down. What do you mean by that? You send them your resume. Is that some cool piece of paper? Is that, tell me.
It's a job interview. I want them to know that, number one, I've got a business degree from University of Connecticut. I want them to know how long I've been in the business, the level of volume that I do. And, it just comes across as something that, the average part-time agent is probably not going to send them their resume with extensive details that'll help them out.
I'll be honest, Matt, forget about the average part-time agent. Very few agents are doing that, like, as part of their starting procedure, basically. That's not going on. Maybe they're thinking the client's going to look at their LinkedIn, maybe. but they're not actually sending a resume. And you used another word, job interview, everyone. What a great way to think about it and to keep you in the right space all the time. It's a job interview, and they're interviewing you for the job. And I'm sure most of you all have heard this before. It sounds like Matt is actually practicing it. And this is a huge takeaway, actually, from talking to Matt right now. Big takeaway. To be in that headspace, because I think you act differently when you're thinking that way. Would you agree? Expand on that a little bit, because that's a great thing.
Absolutely. The appointment's just a start. You've got to come in there and you've got to have the right, the right resources and the right, information for them. So I take every opportunity very serious. I mean, they pay us incredibly well to do what we do. So from $75,000 condo to $1.5 million single family house, I bring the same focus, energy, and excitement. And I think that, the markets that I work in are, and this probably across the country, saturated with agents that have been doing this for a while and very good agents. However, there's the tech, at my age, I've got the experience and I've got the tech savvy and the social media type stuff that I can bring to the table. So I think it's important to go over everything with people to really differentiate myself and separate myself, that there's many levels to my marketing and there's many levels to my buyer representation that you'll get.
So you come out of the gate with a flood of information. You also are, for all intents, I'm going to use the word closing, but it's not the right word. You are influencing a face-to-face meeting. You are explaining the importance of you all getting together. Correct? You're making that important.
Absolutely, especially if it's a buyer. I would never. I try not to meet buyers at a house for the first time. I try to meet them at the office, and there's a higher percentage of them actually buying something and understanding the process. I like to go through everything from start to finish. I just go over the contingencies. I go over the what the process looks like once we find a house, and that's really where I earn my value to help them navigate through that process.
What do you say if they push back and they just want to meet you at the house? What do you say?
I'd have to know if they can send me a pre-approval letter, or show some level that this is not just a hobby to them and that there's a decision that's going to be made. Then I'd have to evaluate my time versus what they're offering, I guess.
Field call, basically. You're going to make a field call on those, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you use the word pre-approval. I'm assuming you take no one anywhere. If they're a cash buyer, you want to see the cash, and if they're going to use a mortgage, you need to know they can get approved.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. And that amazingly enough, even though that sounds logical, there are a lot of agents all the time that I catch with people in cars that can't buy houses, which is just amazing.
All the time.
Yeah, which is amazing. So tell us a little bit about the listing side, and then I want to talk about social media, because you're very good at social media, and I think most agents use social media wrong. So I would love to hear your views on that. But tell me a little bit about listings, sales. As far as buyers, it sounds like you flood them with information. You're not really trying to sell them anything. You send them a resume, which is super interesting. I'm just kind of recapping for everyone. I don't think a lot of people do that. And by the way, those of you that aren't doing it because you don't have a resume, make one. You send them a resume. You push to meet them at your office. Again, Matt, I'll let you know, I get to interview a lot of really great agents, and I coach a lot of great agents. The great agents all do that. They do not mess around. They're like, you got to come to my office. Let's go. And when people push back, they kind of gently push back and say, listen, this is for you, not against you. Believe me, we're going to save time by you coming. Tell me about listings. What was the breakout, by the way, of your 75 transactions last year, listings versus buyers? Ballpark.
Probably 60-40.
60
as a younger agent, you generally work with more buyers, and as you get older in the business, you tend to get more listing opportunities. But my business is a healthy mix of both.
Okay, so tell me about listings. How do you go at a listing? How do you give me a little secret sauce there for everyone listening? There's gonna be a lot of people listening to this. You're gonna see this young guy, #1 agent. What are you doing that they could copy, that they can learn from a listing perspective?
From a listing perspective, I really do my homework ahead of time. Make sure that I have a comprehensive market analysis that isn't too many pages, right? You want to prove that you've done your homework and that you've filtered through the 40 houses that have been for sale in the area, and pick 2 to 3, have good narrative on it, and show these are more or less apples to apples, and that, pricing is a three-way conversation. You want to make sure that they're comfortable with it. And, most important is to sell my professionalism, that I spend a lot of money on my listings. We're going to bring a professional photographer. We're going to do a floor plan. Depending on the price point, we might do a lifestyle video. We're going to have high-end marketing materials. There's a strong back end. There's a sizable investment. And I always leave the meeting that, I have a price in mind. If we can see eye to eye on the price, you're going to get 110% of my effort and investment and time and experience. But if we don't see eye to eye, then, we may not be a good fit. And I've walked away from a couple listings. It happens every once in a while. And not every seller wants to sell, just like not every buyer wants to buy. And, when you're busy and doing that high level of volume, you've got to spend your time wisely.
So Matt, tell everyone, I love asking this question. You roll in, you're completely prepared. I'm going to talk about that in a second. You're prepared. You roll in. You have the discussion. You eye lock them and go 698, and they go, no, 780.
Yeah, I respectfully walk out.
No, but if you do have a conversation with them, though, where do you go? How do you handle the armchair quarterback? Which is, because of Zillow and every other place they can find out their next door neighbor that sold their home for $80,000 more. But, oh, by the way, it's 1,000 square feet bigger and they've redone every bathroom in the kitchen. Meaning this stuff that, that they don't even know. Okay. Yeah. What's your, I hate using the word script. It's a horrible word. Where do you go with that when someone says that? Tell me.
Yeah, I'm very unconventional in that sense. I've never, taken a script. I've never, rehearsed a script. So when there's a pricing conversation to be had, I really make sure that my data is spot on, and that, if they want to find a way to get comfortable to understand, then they will. I also, point out things that, you always get, well, they can make an offer. But if you're not attracting the right people and you're competing with the 750 to 800 houses, but you should be competing with the 675 to 700 houses, you're just, people are going to come look at your house and say, this one's a much better deal. So you give them real life scenarios, you give them, things that they've got to come to the realization on their own that this is not what their house is worth. I tend not to do scenarios where, well, we'll list at your house at this price for the first month, and then if you agree to drop it, we'll I'll work with you. But I really focus on the first 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks of any listing is so important. We've got to blitz the market. We've got to have a strong campaign, and we've got to be ready to sell your house in the first 3 weeks, because that's the way the world's set up. Everyone's going to get in there. After that, it's a much longer process. So overpricing it and then playing catch up, doesn't put you in the right position, and most times you end up with less than what you would have gotten from the start.
The old downward escalator. Okay, I'll list it for 780 for one day.
Yeah,
and then tomorrow it's going to be 680.
you only get one shot.
So Matt, you said something that I like to key on, and you said do your homework. A lot of times I'll have agents, I'll be talking to them on the phone, or whatever. Joel, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I'm like, yes, you do. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, you do. Go get in your car and go drive around the neighborhoods. And they're like, well, what? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you realize your job is to know every neighborhood. If somebody calls you and they live on 123 Main Street in whatever town, you should be like, oh, Center Hall Colonial. I mean, you should know the neighborhoods. Now, granted, if it's 30 miles away, it's different, but you should know your area. I tell people all the time, go for a ride. I mean, understand you're a real estate professional. I mean, come on. Yeah, you should know that.
I've stopped taking listings or buyers outside of my comfort zone, and actually that's generated more business for me.
You refer them. You just refer them out.
I refer them out, and you know what? It's peace of mind. And if I have some clients that say, well, that's okay. And I said, as long as you understand that I've not sold a house in this town, but I can, work hard for you, to get a deal done and keep it together. I'll work with you, but I just don't want to, sell you on the fact that, I do any business here, and they understand that. They're very receptive to that. But the key is really focusing and doing business in towns and cities that you're comfortable with, and that you can back up. One of the number one reasons why customers don't work with real estate agents is because they don't think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So. What a great concept. We could literally stop right now, and that's one of the biggest takeaways, and I find this all the time. failing agents. I'll be talking to them, and say I'm talking, and they live in like Riverside, California, or in your example, they live in Trumbull. I'm like, oh, what are you doing today? I'm driving to Marlboro, New Jersey, to take a listing. I'm like, wait, what? Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Marlboro. I'm like, yeah, that's like 3 hours away with no traffic. What? Yeah, but it's I'm licensed in New Jersey, and it's it's a $800,000 house, and I'm gonna make. I'm like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And you just said something really profound. You said I stopped taking listings outside of my, did you use comfort zone or expert zone? What did you say?
Comfort zone.
Comfort zone, which you could replace expert with that as well, where you're basically saying, hey, I don't know that area. Like I don't list houses in Hartford. I mean, I've been to Hartford tons of times, but I don't, it's not my gig. That's not where I go. And you're referring them out, you're taking your referral fee, and you said that's actually gotten you more business. Why?
Because those agents then reciprocate, and the buyer then refers you to their friends and family that are in your area because they know that you are disciplined in your approach. So it just puts you in a position of power with the client. Even though you're not working with them, they know that you gave them sound advice and that you put their interest ahead of your own financial gain.
That's huge. That's a one no to get 10 yeses, right? That's
Absolutely.
a one no, and then 10 more people coming your way. So that's huge, everybody. Stop taking listings outside of my comfort zone. Matt's comfort zone is obviously, everyone's comfort zone is different. I bet his is Fairfield and probably right down to Greenwich. And I could probably get a map and draw a circle, but that's his zone. And if it's outside his zone, first thing you're going to do is let him know, outside the zone. Love to help you, but I'm going to refer you to Jim Smith over here, who, by the way, is awesome, who's as good as I am, and I'll help you through it, but that's your move, and then you're getting more business. That's awesome. So actually taking the listing, what do you do? I heard you talk about, I'm assuming you don't take listings for 3.25%. Ha, ha, ha. That was a joke. The best agents in the country will look you in the eye and go 7%. And the seller's like, what? So-and-so will do it for 3. And you're like, yeah, well, let me tell you how this works. This is the whole people telling me real estate agents are overpaid. I'm like, I'm not sure if you know what they do. Especially if they're moving your house fast at the price you want, they're spending a lot of money. It's not like they're just taking all that money and putting it in their pocket. Unpack that just a little bit.
Sure.
I'm assuming you are traditional when it comes to your fee because you really provide a service for the fee, correct?
Absolutely. Surprisingly, I don't get a ton of pushback on it. I might get one question, is there anything we could do here? And it's a simple answer, no. It's not, the conversation is limited. If that's their decision, that's their decision point, that conversation's probably ended because they also probably wanted to price their house way out of what they should. So those two things kind of go hand in hand. You get the reduced commission and the overpriced house conversation with the same people
every time, right?
Yeah. Together.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about before we run out of time. Let's talk about social media a little bit.
Sure.
I love the way that you use social media because I truly think that most people don't really. They would prefer to know about you and like what your kid had for breakfast than necessarily be pounded with, quote unquote real estate. And
Sure.
Yours is a healthy mix. Do you use any type of pattern? Do you do, 1-4, meaning one house, 4 personal posts? Do you tell me about that? Your Instagram, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know, but I follow you on Instagram and Facebook. Do you use Twitter, first of all?
I do, just not for business. I follow athletes and comedians.
Okay, so you like to do it. That's like you watching TV. You're reading Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I scroll through there. As far as social media, it's something I struggle with to find that right balance and to you need to stay active. You need to let people know that you're still in the business, but you've got to do it in a respectful manner, which I just, I see a lot of agents struggle with this, and myself included. So I like to offer good content. I like to make it specific to what I think that audience is. There's different ways to go about it. If I can get all my followers on my personal page to follow my business page, I wouldn't have to do anything on my personal page, but that's just impossible.
Yeah.
That's on Facebook. That's the challenge because you can boost. I've done really well with geo-targeted boosts on Facebook social media, my business page.
Are you boosting Are you boosting a specific listing?
No, you put a new listing on and you draw a circle around the area and you're getting a lot of hits. If you looked at the analytics on that, it would be unbelievable to see how many hits and impressions you're getting. And then, the local town boards where, you create a buzz about the property and, the build up. LinkedIn has been really, has been great. I've had a lot of good feedback from that. Starting to use
Matt,
Instagram a little bit more.
Take that apart a little bit for people.
Sure.
Because you went through that at 100 miles an hour, and most people got lost right away. No. Most people got lost if they're not currently, doing what you're doing. So you get a new listing, and I'm sure you have we didn't go through this because we don't have enough time. You can come back on and we can do it. But you have a whole list of stuff that you do. There's a whole list of Matt Nuzie stuff that you do, video and staging, whatever your checklist. And it sounds like there's a social media piece in there. Like you're going to spin that listing out, and you're going to spin it on Facebook. And you use the term say it again.
Geo-targeted marketing.
Geo-targeted marketing. So tell everyone exactly what you do. A lot of people might know this, but they're not really doing it. And it doesn't really cost a lot either, right? Tell them exactly what you do.
If you're not doing this, it's something that you ought to consider. You can only do it from your business page. So new listing coming to the market, currently on the market, you put a quick little blurb out there, a few pictures, and then you click on the bottom right of that post. It says boost post. You can then pick the age bracket that you want, depending on the property. You can then pick the location that you want to drip. So if it's something that I'm listing in Fairfield and I think the buyer is going to be coming from Westchester or Manhattan or Stanford, I may focus more of my resources on that area. And or if it's something in Trumbull and I think it's a local person that's going to be a move up buyer, I may just limit it to Trumbull, Shelton, and Monroe, the 3 closest towns. But for you could set the budget and they'll give you the expected amount of impressions that you're going to get. And it's much more impactful than a lot of the other stuff. I mean, as agents, our phone rings 4 or 5 times a day with people trying to sell us, SEO optimization and stuff. Where the Facebook geo-targeted ads they're highly effective.
Yeah. I mean, I've used it before in my business, and it's amazingly effective because you are right in front of people that would be interested. Years ago, what we used to do, you'll get a kick out of this because you're young and technical. I had Act, right? Like a disc, like Act that you slid in, into your desktop or whatever. And we used to run reports because I had a big, huge database. I was doing a lot of loans, and I would run a report, say who bought a house 7 years ago in this price range at this age that didn't have kids. Meaning I'm looking for move-ups. And then I would pull up like 5 or 6 people out of my CRM and we would sell a listing. Like one of my partners, I'd be like, yo, one of these people is going to buy this because they're move-up. And now you could do that in awesome. No, but now you could do that in basically 2 seconds. You don't have to go through all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of data out there and information, but you've just got to you can go 100 different ways, throughout the day. You've just got to be disciplined and structured to make sure that you're doing something every day to prospect and, to tap into that database.
So the Facebook is happening. Do you do the same type of thing are you doing LinkedIn as well with that listing or not necessarily?
I just started and present company excluded. My experience on LinkedIn for the past 10 years was mortgage brokers and insurance agents asking me to go for coffee.
Right.
You could fill your schedule, but once you get past that, it's a very professional network. I was able to tap into a lot of old clients that I didn't realize were even on there, but highly professional. It's been effective. I've probably pulled 3 or 4 potential deals from that this year alone.
Do you make it a practice to friend your clients on Facebook and link with them on LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn makes it very easy. With one button, you send everybody an invitation in your email that you don't even know about. So that's easy. On Facebook, I don't go out of my way to put them on as a friend. I try to get them to follow my business page, but I haven't made a big effort on either front.
Okay, all right. I'm curious because the way you're running your business, it's something that I would assume that you are automatically doing, because it's that connection, especially if they're in your car and you're taking them out and you build that relationship. They kind of get to watch you go through and you stay in front of them. But you're doing it if the connection's a little deeper, you're doing it, or if they friend you, or there's no real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ultimately, by the end of the transaction, we're probably Facebook friends.
Okay. What about Instagram? I mean, obviously Facebook owns Instagram. I know you're
Sure.
on Instagram. Do you start with Instagram and then hit the Facebook button? What do you do there?
No, I only use Instagram stories. I think it's a good way to kind of catch people's attention. You gotta follow the trends to see what people are spending their time on now. So it started with Snapchat, and then Instagram and Facebook both picked up on the stories. And I think that's easy. People are mindlessly scrolling through there. So they have good splash screens. They have good easy ways to get good content to jump out when you have a new listing. I don't do much posting. I do more the stories that are up there for 24 hours, and you get hits back of people saying, hey, what's the price, or that kind of thing. I do some polls if I've got a new listing and I want to know which exterior picture, some interaction type stuff.
So everyone, you hear that interaction type stuff, meaning Matt is clearly wants people to interact with him, which is the key to using social media.
Just one last thing that I have on social media is that I'm highly against the companies and services that post for you. I think they're impersonal. I don't think they have the impact that everybody wants them to have. I think it's got to be, original content, something people can relate to, not necessarily just an article that somebody posted that is from California and they're posting it in Connecticut. So I see a lot of that. I see, I see the same agents posting the same stuff. So I think you got to be different. Being there is not being effective. You've got to kind of take ownership of what you put out there to your database. And
if you're gonna, what a great, I'm glad that you said it. By the way, you just ticked a lot of people off, but I'm really glad. I'm glad that you said it, because it's so true. People want to connect with you in a genuine way. I mean, you can literally put that like best, cream chip beef ever at Susie's Diner, and that is 1,000,000 times better than a canned thing that a company did that 10 other agents all put the same thing in their feed. I mean, literally, it's that much better because putting a house on there is not really creating the sale. It might create engagement, and all you want is engagement. The engagement is what's then going to create the relationship. But what Matt just said, and this is sold to agents all the time. It's sold to loan officers too all the time. Oh, we'll do your social media for you. And I'm always like, hey, look, this is not that hard. You could do this anywhere. You've got a Droid or an iPhone. This is just not that hard. Either engage or don't engage. I tell people I'd rather have you not engage at all than like, I agree with you 1,000,000%. I'd rather you not engage at all than use some service that's posting stuff that's like not you. It's not, it's not genuine to you.
It's not authentic, and it doesn't, the client is not picking up the phone to say, oh, wow, this agent's really in the know. He just posted an article about, what rocks you should have in your house.
And the other thing, people, and if there's social media experts watching this, maybe they'll call me. Maybe they'll call me on this and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But the numbers are crazy. If you have like 1,000 followers or something, right? Like, and you put something up, like 28 people. I mean, unless you're 16 years old, 28 people will like the picture, and like 3 people will comment. I mean, it's crazy low numbers, right? But then, like, for me, you see what I post, right? You see what's going on in my feed, right?
You eat good.
Yeah. So I'll be in like, Wichita, Kansas, somewhere doing an event, and afterwards someone will come up to you and they'll be like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'll be like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, listen, those lamb chops that you ate at, Bill's Lamb Chop House 3 weeks ago in, Montana," and I'm like, "Who are you? Are you kidding me? You saw that? Who even are you?" You know what I mean? And they're telling me how awesome they looked, but they didn't like it and they didn't comment.
Yeah, they're seeing it. It's funny sometimes, when we announced that our daughter was born, and we had, we had an incredible amount of likes, and then you actually, it's events like that where you see who's actually out there. They come out of the woodwork.
Those are your big. So for me, on Facebook, they give you your most liked, whatever, each year. They give you a thing. It's always my picture with my daughter. No offense to my other 3 kids, with my daughter, either at homecoming or prom or whatever. That's always it. It's exactly what you're saying, the baby shot or whatever. So, so that's a big message there on the canned content. You certainly don't need to pay for it, and it's not that hard to do. Tell me just a little bit about what Matt Nuzie's day looks like right now. There's a lot of other people that have a wife or a spouse and a little one, and you got another one on the way, you said. And tell me a little bit about your day. Do you work out in the morning? Tell me about your what your week, your days look like for everybody?
Sure. So Monday to Friday, I'm pretty disciplined. I'm up early. I'm up by, to be exact, 6:05. I'm downstairs. I'm working out either.
You work out in your house? Work out at home?
Yep. Got the Peloton, got the elliptical, some free weights.
Okay.
And then I take 15, 20 minutes, catch up on some news, Sports Center, have an espresso, and then that's my kind of my downtime to kind of get ready for the day. I spend another hour with our daughter before I head off to the office. This is something I started recently. I try not to check my email until I get to the office.
That's got to be brutally hard.
It's hard, but mindfulness is important to me. So, you could check your email as soon as you get up, and you could have a great day, or you could be frustrated at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's something that I've tried to do, is just to be a little bit better about, being disconnected when I'm home and spending quality time with my family. So that's the morning. I'm in the office.
So Matt, so you have an email at 10 o'clock the night before. Matt, call me first thing in the morning and come list my $2 million house. You're not biting on that.
Phone call.
No, but you're not looking. I mean, you're not biting. You're going to call it at 8:30 or at 9 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like I said, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
And you know what? People respect that. It's an important thing that we do, and people trust us, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, if there's something urgent at 11 o'clock at night, it's probably that they got locked out of their house, and they want to know if they can get into the electronic lockbox.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. So then you get your day started. And do you do certain things every day?
I try. So actually, to the left of my screen here, I've got an ideal week that I've been working on. So in morning activities are prospecting, touching base with current clients, listing buyers, working on my business. And then I've got some other time slots, but you know how this business is. You'll get a phone call, and you'll have to run out to do something. I try and book my late appointments on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, keeping Saturdays as a last resort. I'm always working on Sundays doing open houses, but I try and, the Wednesday afternoons, I try and get out and get home, and be disciplined in that sense. But I've got, I could actually send it to you after if you want, but I've been working on it, and it's hard to implement, networking on Thursdays, house tours on Wednesdays,
do you have
working on listing presentations, things like that. So I have time slots for everything. It's just hard to do that as the week progresses.
Do you have a transaction coordinator? Do you outsource that? How do you handle that?
So we have a DocuSign in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So at our Remax office, when a deal comes in, we load it up to the DocuSign, and our admin kind of takes it from there.
Okay, so you're running and gunning. You're the one-man Matt Nuzie show.
That's right. And I'm accountable for your house selling or not selling.
Hear that? Hear that, everybody? You can sell 75 houses and not have a team of 9 people doing who knows what. It is possible, and still have a life. Matt, I'm looking at the clock. I really, really appreciate your time. It's awesome to catch up with you. I've been watching you since we met a long time ago, and I mean, it's so cool to see you. And I was looking down at this. I have notes in front of me. It says number 3. I'm like, wait, he's not number 3. I know he's number 1. I saw that, and I mean, it's so cool. People, agents watching this, I mean, you know what it means to be number 1 in your state. I mean, look, granted, Connecticut's not the biggest state, but there's a lot of people there, and to be number 1 and to be number 1 for Remax, which is an internationally known, awesome brand, is really, really big. So I want to just give you like congratulations from me. I mean, really, it's a huge accomplishment. Now you need to be like, how about number 1 in 5 states, and then just take it over? There's no reason not to, right? I mean, come on.
I appreciate that.
I mean,
Thank you.
this is your NFL. This is it. This is your NFL, right?
This is it. I tell people I have
Yeah.
to sell houses because I missed too many field goals.
Yeah,
So I guess
exactly.
this isn't a bad consolation.
Exactly. So, just real quick, just for the fun of it, what do you think about the extra point, the backup? You like it?
Let's put it this way. I missed more field goals under 30 yards than your average kicker, but I made more over 50. So
Yeah.
it was the whole between the ears thing that kicked me out of football.
Nice. Okay, everyone. Matt Nuzie, #1 Remax agent in the state of Connecticut. Matt, if they want to find you, they can. What's your social media handle? What's your Facebook? Are you just Matt Nuzie?
Yep, Matt Nuzie.
And that's Nuzie.
Or LinkedIn.
Or LinkedIn. There'll also be information in as we release this, after we edit and release this podcast, you'll be able to find him. Instagram, is it your name? Is it Matt Nuzie?
It's mnews98, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but that's LinkedIn or Facebook would be best.
Okay, so MattNuzie. Matt, I'm assuming if someone's listening to this and they have a question, are you glad to take a question from somebody?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. And as always, if you love this podcast, please let us know. You can watch it anywhere, YouTube. You can watch it on my Facebook channel. You can watch it on iTunes. You can consume it anywhere you want. If you have questions, you can leave questions there as well. And Matt